Hi everyone and welcome along. Now Easter is a lot earlier than usual this year, so it's going to come creeping up on us before we know it. And we like to get organised, don't we? So we're going to start painting some lovely Easter content because it just makes me feel like spring is nearly here, which I'm just so desperate for. So we're going to do a really lovely little Easter tree, a little bit like the Valentine's card we did a while back where we hung those hearts on the branches. We're going to do something similar but with eggs, just to show you what a nice versatile and easy design that is. So grab your paints and let's get started. Now, we will do this slightly differently to the one we did for Valentine's Day. We'll start off with a sort of flower pot of some sort. And I thought I was given some really beautiful, those fluffy sort of pussy willow branches, the ones with the lovely little fluffy buds on, so I thought we would do some of those as well as some general branches. I love Easter. I think it's my favourite sort of time of year, but then I always say this, I say everything's my favourite time of year. So, I don't know. But with these branches, we just need to make sure that there are places to hang things on them. So just make sure you've got a few little, you know, actual branches on your branches. We need some burnt sienna and just a bit of Payne's grey for the branches here. But of course, I think what's more sensible is actually getting our eggs painted in. So I will just wake up some of the more fun colours in my palette. So let's see, we've got some opera rose there. I'll move the painting away. Nice, like sunny colours. They're always still quite bright here, but once we sort of dilute them down, add a bit of water, we can make them really delicate. And the other fun thing is actually mixing little bits in together. So a little bit of opera rose in with cadmium orange makes a nice blush tone, or permanent rose with some yellow ochre makes another similar sort of nice, slightly just sort of muted blush kind of colours. And over here, turquoise is always great, so we've got cobalt turquoise there. And I think those are all the colours we'll go for, because green will probably feature in the piece. Okay. Size 2 brush feels right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, let's go for that. We're all going to have slightly different opinions on what brushes we feel are good for control. Okay, so with a nice dilute amount of opera rose, a little outline, and I'm going to immediately clean my brush off and just fill it in with the colour I have. Now already I feel like maybe size 2 is a tiny bit big for when I want to come in and do sort of extra little bits of sort of controlling the shape a bit. So I've gone down, I've got a 2/10 here, and here is Imperial Purple. And if your egg shape is wobbly and wonky, the good news is if you're painting it nice and dilute, you can just keep on sort of tweaking the shape as you go. So I'm just going to go round enjoying placing in egg shapes like that. There we go. Now we've got all of those in, And now it's time to look to the branches. So we've got our wooden colour, but I want to paint in some of these lovely little fluffy buds on the Pussy Willow, and I think Moon Glow is going to be really good for that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to paint in really diluted little buds. I actually got a few branches of this from a florist on Saturday, and they are just so lovely. So we're going to use a little bit of artistic license with one or two of these branches having some, maybe a little leaf or two on them. But yeah, we'll begin by popping these in. So fluffy willow buds done, and now I've got some sap green, and on some of the other branches I am going to paint in some simple little leaves. Just in a nice delicate palette, because Easter is all about these lovely bright sort of pastel shades, light colours, gentle cheerful tones, isn't it? So we don't need anything too heavy, and I think this is a nice combination of having two different types of branch coming out of our pot. Okay, I can finally use the colour I mixed up at the beginning. Right, so so it was burnt sienna and Payne's grey, just the usual, isn't it? And so for your regular sort of leafy branch, you can just start with the branch itself, and then always add a few extra little twigs like that. And for the Pussy Willow branch, I'm actually going to get a little bit of alizarin crimson. I very much awoke someone's wrath on the comments. A few people actually just do not like how I mispronounce it, and the trouble is I do know that I'm not pronouncing it right, but I can just never remember it in the moment. So as many times as you write it in capital letters in the comments, it's just, I don't see those comments when I'm painting. I only see them afterwards, so I do apologise. So yeah, you see that slightly deeper, richer colour there is quite nice. And what I'm going to do to begin with is create the little cap for the buds, and then we just place in the branch like that, and it usually has a little bit more off the top. And that's how we'll create our lovely branches. Okay, so we've done our branches. It's now just time for bits of detail, and pop in the pot as well. But I'm beginning with just a little bit of extra colour on the leaves, and that's just sap green. It's just a bit more concentrated. And then we can add, in the same style, just a little bit of slightly stronger colour and maybe some speckles to our eggs. So make sure my brush is clean. So if I take some of my Imperial Purple, it's a lovely Daniel Smith colour. What I can do is put a little sweep of colour on there. It's still quite dilute, and then I clean off my brush and just smooth it, and then maybe a few speckles like that. So that's looking lovely, and I thought we'll just colour this in cobalt turquoise, just with the colour I had sitting in my palette. Just purposely not filling it in entirely, and whilst I wait for that to dry, just get a little bit of moon glow or whatever colour you like really, and I'm going to start hanging the eggs from the branches. And if you have got an egg that is floating and does not have a branch, then you can just quickly pop it in. Actually, I think I'm going to do a branch from here. So I'll finish it off with a bit of more concentrated cobalt turquoise. And just blend that down a little bit. And we'll just sort of bring it round the back, pop in a little bit of shadow. And there we have a lovely pot. I always like to do a little bit of shadow in these things, so let's mix that up a bit, nice and dilute. And you could of course do all the eggs and all the shadow, but you don't have to do it. But there we are, we just need to rub out the pencil and we'll have a lovely Easter design for you. And there we go, this will be the start of plenty more Easter content to come, but I really hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and that means you'll never miss another video. Until next time, bye!